right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and start. My name is Hannah. I am the outreach coordinator at NAMI North Texas. Really excited to have everyone here for this conversation for parents going into the new school year and all of the angst that we must be feeling and all of the angst that our students must be feeling. And I'm just the moderator, so I'll just be here to help answer questions or to help relay questions to Diane and Larry. A lot of y'all seem to already know Diane and Larry, but for those of you who don't, I'll just give a brief introduction. Larry is a licensed professional counselor supervisor who presently serves as the director of mental health services for CK Family Services. And then Diane presently serves as the director of behavioral health for outpatient services with Medical City of Green Oak. So I'm really excited to have you guys here. And I am, like I said before, I'm just the moderator. I'll be here to help relay questions to Diane and Larry. I'm going to ask that everyone keeps themselves on mute and uses the chat box to ask any questions that y'all might have. And I'm also going to put myself to blank myself out as well. So Diane and Larry, I'm going to let you guys take it away. And thank you so much for being here.
So here's how we would like to go ahead and proceed. Hannah's got a question already. Really good question. And so throughout this, we really want it to be a conversation for the participants. And so I know that we may, if we just talked, touch on your questions, but I would rather go ahead and have you ask your questions and tell us your concerns so we can speak more specifically to what you're needing, because you're here. And so instead of us assuming what you need, we've prepared and we are prepped to answer pretty much any questions you have, both from parents, from the children's side, and from teachers, educators, that sort of thing. And some of you are both. And so we're ready to go pretty much. And if there isn't any questions, then we'll jump in to just give you knowledge and give you some tips and some advice or some guidance when it relates to working with this whole situation. So Hannah, if you would read that first question and we can kind of jump in. I will try not to hog the camera. So I have more words than Mr. Partin. So I will try to share the knowledge and wisdom of this man.
I would never use the word hog in a conversation with my wife.
That's right. He's much more delicate than that. So Hannah, would you please read that first question? It's a really good, thoughtful, concerning question for this mom.
For sure. So this question came to me via email before we even got started. So it was really exciting to receive that. So it says, my 6-year-old child seems to not respect my role as a teacher. He thinks that I'm wrong and that he knows all the answers. He uses language like, you're wrong and you don't know what you're talking about. I would like to correct him when his answer is wrong. He seems to take it so personally and he's offended and gets very angry. How do teachers handle when kids are offended by being corrected?
Okay, so there's kind of a multifold issue going on here. And so we kind of vetted this question a little bit with Hannah earlier on, but predominantly when kids are saying that, they're responding to you in the role that they're seeing you in and with the expectations that's been given them. So this little kiddo sees mom trying to be his teacher and he knows mom's not his teacher, right? And so a lot of times these kids will respond in negative ways to try to set boundaries, like you're crossing a boundary, that's not your role, when what we need to do is take a step back and we need to equip the child's mind with, how do I interpret this situation? So at the beginning of a school year, teachers, every teacher that I know and every educator, and chime in if you know teachers who don't do this, they have classroom rules. They have classroom expectations, like, how do I like this? What do you do when you need to go to the bathroom? How do you get your, especially for 6-year-olds, how do you ask a question appropriately? What are the rules of the classroom? And so instead of trying to put mom, in the box of just being mom, here's an opportunity for this kid to really expand his knowledge and growth with mom into the role of a teacher. And so sitting down and making classroom rules and adding structure, like we're going to start school at this time, and we're going to have a break at this time, and we're going to have lunch at this time, and we're going to do, structuring that day so that a child's expectations during those periods of time can be met in that way. And so if there's mommy time and there's mommy teacher, and mommy can do lots of different roles, and so can daddy, right? So we have this opportunity to expand your child's mind to more than just who you are to him, but who you can be as a person. I see you shaking your head.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, you want to jump in there?
Oh,
okay, because they're going to learn from your modeling. You're their first teacher. You're going to be a predominant teacher throughout their life, whether you're called that or not. And now you get to set those rules. You get to set them with your child. Hey, okay, so what is it you like in your classroom that your teacher does when you want to ask a question, right? And so we don't tell mommy she's wrong, because mommy isn't wrong. And kids that actually are in school with their moms, who are actual teachers at the school, they are accustomed to calling them by, Miss so-and-so, or at the agency that Larry works at and I previously worked at, by their first names, if you work with your parents. And so getting the opportunity to grow their minds in that way, this is a good time to collaborate, to partner with your child, to say what you can do to set these rules and these boundaries, and make that list and post them. And have a designated space, designated time, and designated rules to structure around that school time.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I think the one thing that I would add is now from the parent side, this is a new role for most of us as well. And so we may feel a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of angst of taking on a role like this. And so how do I do this? How do I engage this particular thing? And my thought is this: if you go into it, as Diane has said, identifying yourself as teacher and identifying your role very concretely, then you just be that role. Don't claim it. Don't fight about it. Don't demand it. Don't cajole into it. Just be it. Just like being a mom or a dad, you don't. No, I'm your dad. You got to listen to me. You just do that. You're just a parent. So now this is a new role. Just be the role. Just own the role. Prepare for the role. Establish the boundaries and do the role.
Yeah. And, and also, I think having that backup, if there are other adults in the room, if there's other adults in the home, they need to be a part of that collaboration of setting the structure around this time and rules as well, so that they can back you up, or they can, or they can help correct if needed. So,
or give you a break.
Or give you a break. Yeah.
Sometimes we just need it.
Sometimes we need a potty break. Hey, let's all go take a snack.
Food and water every 2 hours.
So we got another question.
We do have another question, and I realized how awkward it is for me to keep popping back in, so I'll just keep my video on. But what other strategies can foster parents use to encourage positive participation when said child hates school, and that I'm assuming they at school are already trying positive encouragement?
So I'm assuming the child is physically going to school. Jarita, that's my assumption. So one, I would kind of explore, what does hate mean? Hate's a big word, right? So when I say I hate that, what was really underneath that? What about it do they hate? Then the more specific you can get to what's going on in their hearts and in their minds, you can address it with specific answers. well, you know, I hate that I have to wear this mask. Yeah, buddy, I get it. Masks are kind of, so how can we make masks more fun? You know, or what can we do? You know, why are we wearing the masks? Do you understand why we're wearing the masks? You know, and maybe build on an education. If there is something specific that you can get down to and drill it down to what their resistance is, you know, try to help them build that resistance into more of a flow of where that needs to go in their mind, because they don't have the answer. If they're having a stop, like in their brains, right, their brain's shutting down, they're going into their downstairs brain, their survival mode brain, they're kicking it, they're triggered in some way. And I'm using terms that I think Jarita may understand. And what that means, for those of you who don't, kids in the foster care world tend to have a lot of good survival skills. And so they go down into their downstairs brain, and not always in their thinking brain, in their survival brain. And so when you're getting resistance in that way, you want to kind of take a step back and go, okay, what are we resisting? Are they feeling like they need to survive? Are they feeling like they're not feeling safe? And so if we can find out what's going on down here to help build the knowledge of their upstairs brain, like, okay, so let's talk about it. Let's get down to what's really going on. Then you can equip the child, particularly kids who live in their emotions. We want to give them structure. When I feel this, then I do that. And it takes that little bit of extra step. We do that with our own kids, and it's challenging enough with kids without trauma. But kids with trauma or neglect, we have to go that extra mile to kind of dig a little deeper. And what does hate mean? And how strong is that feeling? And is it a sensory issue? Is it a issue of fear? I don't feel safe. And that's a big one right now with adults and with, I had told Hannah, I literally just met with a teacher. And so there's a lot of angst on all sides. And so if we can get down to their little heart of the issue, then we can model, we can practice, we can talk through, and we can help prompt, as even at the beginning of every day. Okay, so I know that this may cause you to feel this, so let's do this instead. And Larry's shaking his head. I think he's got something to add to that.
You think so?
I do.
I think I was just shaking my head.
I think you could add to it, but so
let's find out if we went the right direction with the answer.
Jarita,
was that helpful?
Well, it's kind of a little off. Can I give you just a little bit of a background on the guy? He's 12 years old, going into the 7th grade. He's been in care for 5 years. All of his siblings have been adopted except him. I just met him 2-3 weeks ago. After reading his file, he's hated school for a very long time. I mean, a very long time. And he just flat out told me he just hates school. There's nothing he likes about it. So we're just trying to find strategies, to get him to at least like it some. He doesn't have to love it, but enough to be able to get into school and participate, because he has a lot of behavioral issues at school.
So, Jarita, and again, I think to me it sounds like he doesn't feel safe at school.
Do you know why? He hates? Has he made any comments about why he hates school?
No, like I said, my home just got him, but he's been in care for 5 years, and his history reads that it's been an issue since he's been in care.
It might be.
So I don't know if go ahead.
Go ahead, Jarita.
I was just, I don't know, to me it reverts back to what happened prior to care. There's obviously was some trauma that might have been related to education. I mean, that's kind of deep, and I know that's deep for him, and he wouldn't understand that, but I'm just trying to find strategies to help the foster parents and myself to be able to encourage this young guy, because he's still got several years ahead of him.
Sure. Sometimes kids in care hate school because they're not good at it. they get behind because they've been bounced around. They didn't get a good start. They didn't get a good foundation from the beginning. Sometimes they hate school because of how it makes you feel when they do go, because they're behind. And so I think just exploring that answer, why does he hate it? And see if he will tell you, because he may not really, he may not, he may hate school because he's not very good at any of the subjects because he's so far behind. So the thing that would help in that case would be to find a way for him to be tutored, to find some support for him to help him out.
Yeah, and that's really good, because building confidence comes from, you know, I'm okay at this, I'm good at this. Are there any skills or abilities or talents that he's already naturally good at that you guys can build on and tie it to school? Is he good at sports? Is he good at theater? Is he good at is he good at art? Is he good at
video games?
He's good at video games. So they do have
Yeah.
those technical classes, and it depends on what school system he's in, you know, that he can build on being good at something. That knowledge base can draw him in and say, oh my gosh, look at this, you know, and seek it out. There are clubs, there are people that he can connect with on a level that's meaningful to him. And then getting that kind of hook in there enough to where it softens that whole thing. And then his classmates and his teachers are going to get to see a whole other side of him and relate to him in a different way. Because my guess is he's putting up that front of leave me alone, don't mess with me, you know. He's probably, or leave me alone, don't mess with me. You know, it could be one of either way. There's probably some avoidant type behaviors that he's doing, either putting up that harsh boundary or that shy one.
How long has he been in care?
5 years.
And how many homes has he been in?
How many homes, Dorina, do you know?
I think he's had a total of 4 to 5, and that's not just homes. There's been psychiatric and RTCs too.
Okay.
So he's had a lot of loss.
Yeah.
Every time he gets to know people, he loses them.
Right.
And that would happen at school, because that's where you find your friends. That's where you meet your friends. And this is a particularly significant age in terms of connecting to other children. I mean,
Right.
this is one of those stages of separation where the peer group starts to become that important. And I think for him, he's at that age, and now every time he gets connected, he has to leave them and leave them. So to find out kind of what's behind this, I think would be very
Also,
but those are some questions.
Thank you.
right, and maybe, you know, if he can build some interest even outside of school, if there's not something within school that he can build that confidence, even if he builds a peer group that's outside of school, that's going to help him in school to connect with kids better. And because of the loss and the fear of loss and, you know, that attachment, he's probably avoidant in his attachment to others right now. He's not going to know how to navigate that without adult modeling. He's just going to, you know, whatever, and he's going to slough it off, and he's not going to take it seriously. But adults can help, you know, I think really find out what he other than video games, or maybe just video games, you know, there are some pretty amazing online competition groups and YouTubers, and, you know, even doing a fun little YouTube channel, you know, may get him out of his shell. And you can do a protected YouTube, you know, just, you know, of course, all of this activity on the internet needs to be monitored.
Right.
But maybe something like that to draw him out of his shell in a positive way, and just say, I get it, buddy. you know, and so work with him and kind of taking the backdoor approach with him, I think would probably be a little bit more successful in seeing positive change in his heart.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for that question.
Yeah.
I'm going to
So
change.
we have
Yeah.
I'm going to change the
couple more.
topic just for a second.
Yeah, we've got a question. How do we support families with special needs children who are having to remote learn? The child I'm thinking about is not gaining anything from Zoom classes. And so, okay, so Meryl, I would probably be interested to know what kind of special needs we're talking about. If you could kind of, are these children, you know, visually, is there a cognitive deficit of some sort? Is it hearing?
Sure. So for the child that I'm thinking of, she has profound disabilities, is nonverbal. She's 7.5. Like there's probably most of the reason she's going to school is to receive services in school. And so now the family's trying to figure out, okay, we're still having to meet her IEP goals, but they're doing like Zoom class once a week in the non-traditional classrooms and like one-on-one meeting with the teacher a week. And other than that, it's foster mom's responsibility to like meet the IEP goals basically. So just how do we as like professionals say, hey, like this is how it is right now, or hey, you should like advocate for more support from your school, like that kind of, how do we navigate that, I guess?
So one, I would advocate for more support from the school, especially if the child is not demonstrating improvement. And because, you know, that's that one-on-one tutoring. I think too, is this a foster parent? Okay.
Could I ask a
Yes,
question?
please.
When the child was in school last year, was learning taking place last year?
It's hard to say. I'm not sure. I think that they're kind of doing more just maintaining, and it's a lot of working on like PT, OT type skills rather than cognitive development for her, which I know is kind of a different situation than a lot of other kids that are in non-traditional classrooms, but and it can be more general too, of just how do we encourage families that are dealing with any kind of special needs that maybe aren't getting the services that they would be getting in an in-person setting.
Sure. Okay.
So I really would get specific because the teachers should have lesson plans, and those lesson plans need to be broken down into steps, right? And so if those teachers that are on the Zoom, the teaching, and Hannah, you're a teacher, so chime in here if I'm saying this wrong. But those teachers should have that step-by-step learning objective and how to achieve that objective. Now, what the foster parent gets to do is be the creative, I don't know, the creative person, the creative mind behind how to achieve that objective with those professional tips. I'm gonna have to take a drink of water, so I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Sure. Well, I really think I would check to find out what happened last year, because there may be something that people are concerned about trying to accomplish, and the child may not be able to progress very rapidly. So they're going to be looking for very incremental changes. So those have to be very concrete, very specific, and very incremental. So it's a lot of repetition, a lot of time that's spent there, right? The other thing that I would say is, as Diane was talking about those teachers, they should also have a list of resources, I would think. Since that's the work that they do, they should probably have some resources about other supports or groups or individuals that the family could reach out to as well.
And I think the foster mom probably needs to structure her questions around very specific goals. So, and that may just be like, I'm not, so it's different in how the teacher hears, like, we're not doing anything. She's not doing nothing. We're not getting anywhere. This is really, other than, okay, so we tried this step to do this objective and this is what happened. How do we make progress with this objective? This objective is to turn on and off the light when she leaves the room, or I don't know, whatever, be able to say a word, or if there's some, very specific things, practicing reading, so what she needs to do is go back to the lesson plan and say, this is what we did. And how do we make progress here when this is what's happening? What else can we do to get this objective met?
Yeah, break it down to its simplest parts.
Yeah. And I think she'll feel more supported, and the teacher will know how to better answer her questions. Yeah. And so and she will feel less frustrated if she has that guide, saying, okay, I'm trying this. This is what's going on. It's not working. What else can we do? And then that can direct, where things go from there. But does that help?
I was going to just also say that there are a couple of people who commented towards this as well. So I wanted to bring those in. Someone says, I have a kiddo that's a lot like Meryl's, and the foster mom is a teacher herself, and the foster mom wound up refusing to agree with the ARD yesterday. So I'm assuming you're a teacher. Is that correct?
No, it's a foster parent.
Okay.
But she's a teacher, and her little background info, her kiddo is completely deaf. They just found out last November, and it's a foster kiddo. And he just got cochlear implants in May. So, and he's 3. So his brain is still learning how to process the sound. Yeah. And so he's ever since the beginning, he's very like hands-on. Since he couldn't hear before, like his teacher had to be in his face to get him to pay attention to anything, right? And foster mom's a teacher herself, and so she's also live teaching while he's doing his sitting in front of an iPad with the live teaching kind of thing. And we had an ARD, or I attended the ARD meeting yesterday, and she was like, he's not getting any of his goals, like his ARDs or his IEP says he's supposed to get like 125 minutes a day of like verbal and blah, blah, blah instruction, and he's not getting that with what's set up right now. And she was very argumentative with the teachers and like the special educational coordinators and directors and everything. And so with that, she wound up completely disagreeing with the ARD and said, like, let's come back at a later date, because the teachers were like, this is the best we can do right now. And, like, they're trying to meet the goals as best as possible in his IEP, but they even said, like, we can't meet every single one right now because of the circumstances with the virtual learning. He is scheduled to go back, and then also she does not want him wearing a mask because she knows he's just going to take it off. The district policy says like he has to be wearing one even though he's 3. And she's like, the teachers are just going to wind up spending all of their time focusing on getting him to wear the mask versus actually teaching him. So like, how is that even going to work? And she just got really frustrated and just completely disagreed with the ARD. And so we're reconvening next Friday. So I have like kind of a piggyback question to Meryl's. It's like, do I support her with that? Because ultimately she is the education decision maker. And, I know she's wanting to do what's best for the kid, but I also see like the teachers are really trying to do as best as they can with what they have, and I see my mom, she's a teacher, so I see her working really hard. But
so what is she proposing as an alternative to theirs? I think I would be more interested in knowing?
She's not. I mean, it's basically like she just wants him in the classroom. And
So that's
so,
instead of like, that's the whole, well, I don't want to do that, well, okay, what do you want to do? Work with mom. That's where I think your work is what do you want? What can we present as a solution? What do you think is realistic during this period of time, this virtual learning? What can be achieved? What can be, as opposed to this doesn't work? Well, what could we do? What goals can we set? Instead of her poo-pooing all of those ideas, come up with solutions of what can happen and what can be done. Kayla said she has a family that has special needs kids that, hello, kitty, that the school has helped them get someone to help them in the home until school is in person. So, Kayla, if you could find out or how they went about that, having someone come into the home, that would be an advocacy part of working with those special needs kids. That would be really, really helpful.
She just went and talked to the school district and talked to the school. I don't know if it's someone that's a volunteer or one of the teachers, but she gets someone coming out to help with school like 2 times a week for a couple hours each day.
Okay.
That's
So I don't know if ours was a miracle case, but I have a nonverbal 11-year-old autistic boy, and he still struggles with everything else school-wise, but at least he gets that one-on-one attention to get some of the schoolwork done.
Well, that's really,
Maybe she could share the phone number of the person she talked to.
Oh, yeah.
that would be
That'd be
fantastic. Yes, those advocacy people in the schools are really wonderful if they know you need them. That's the key, is letting them know you need them. And sometimes that's our part to get in there and go, hey, this family needs you, or hey mom, hey foster mom, this is how you get to that. Hey, who is the advocacy person for the special needs people? Let's talk to them and do that social work. CPS has an educational specialist as well. Yeah. The liaison, tap into that.
no problem.
So, okay. So Gabrielle, honey, I see you on the phone. So, all right. You're good. But, yeah, I love technology. We're all good. Yeah, with the liaison. Now, I know that I've had success in working with the CPS liaison to get certain things happening in the schools. So that's also, just knowing, just as soon as those people know you need them, that's when they are there, being able to support in more specific ways. But I think a really, really important part is to know what specifically do you need help with. And sometimes that's our role, is to help those people hone it in, because the frustration makes it so big and ambiguous that it's more of the emotional component comes out, as opposed to, okay, so let's take a deep breath and let's approach it. And that's where the angst comes in, is that emotion is speaking. And whenever humans hear predominantly emotion coming out of another human, we don't listen with our critical thinking skills unless we're trained to. We listen with that emotional, and we tend to respond and react, as opposed to, okay, let's work through these solutions. Yes, CASA can help too. Those are great, Kayla and Jarita. Those are great suggestions. But tap in. Don't just kind of sit back. Be proactive and help these parents be a little more proactive and saying, okay, what can work? What will work? What can we do? And then that's where we take it out of the emotional realm and put it into the strategic. What are some strategies that we can do? That's teaching words. How can we engage in these strategies to help these kids? And so that's also modeling. I'm feeling this. What do I do when I feel this? I use those strategies to move to a solution in that way.
Is that helpful?
I'm just going to take, while we're waiting for her to answer, I'm just going to take a moment. I see we've got some other people coming in, and I've been admitting people. So I just want to kind of introduce us again and say, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat so we can start that conversation. That's the best way. And then also, as we're kind of waiting for more questions, can you give us some tips to how we can support our children, our students, the people in our lives with their mental health during this time? It's very confusing. And I know that we don't, some of us don't know what's going to happen. I told you that earlier. I don't know what's going to happen. We know that we're here at least until October. So how do I continue to support my child's mental health? What are some good tips that you could give me?
Yes, sir.
Please.
Okay.
Take a deep breath.
Here's an idea. So when a child is an infant, we learn specific ways to soothe our child, right? Sometimes it's about putting something in their mouth. Sometimes it's about movement. Sometimes it's about physical touch. Sometimes it's about distraction. There are a lot of different kinds of things that we did. Now, if we think back on when this child was young, what did we do then? When they were fussy, when they couldn't use language, what did we do to help them to calm and soothe at that point? Well, if you will remember those things, I think you can use the very same things now. You may, if you did a lot of physical touch at that point, a hug is going to go a long way. Some cuddling, some snuggling, some spending some time together, feeling close. If distraction was a tool, there are lots of things to use to distract. If it was sound, remember what sounds you used. We have a fun story at our house. When Kyle, our oldest son, was, I think it was around 18, he was listening to some music his mom didn't particularly appreciate.
Shocking.
But she said, I want you to pick out your favorite song and let me hear it. So he said, you're not going to like it. And she said, I want you to do it anyway. So he queued it up on his iPod at that point. So Diane listened to the song. Now, I'm hearing it kind of in the background, and it's one of those head banging kind of songs. Makes you want to bang your head. And when she got through with listening to it, she said, okay, what is it about that song that you like? And he said, it relaxes me. Well, as I was hearing the sound and the lyrics, there was nothing relaxing about the song at all. However, Diane is a trained musician as well. She didn't tell you that. She recognized that that song was in a minor key. The song that she sang to him as a lullaby when he was a baby was in the same minor key. So if it's about sound, then think about what the sound was, what kind of sound was. All of those different kinds of things that we use for our children when they were younger, they're going to work now. Because what I've learned is the same kinds of things work for us as adults. If we could figure out what our parents did for us when we were young, that's the same thing that soothes us. And so if we can learn those things, we can intentionally use them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't a depressing lullaby. It was very sweet. but that's really true.
But it wasn't a headbanging.
No, it wasn't. It was a hushabye. Don't you cry. Go to sleep, my little baby. But so with that sensory, so there are checklists out there about sensory preferences and sensory defensivenesses. And so that's another way to soothe, and making that deliberate effort to just learn to soothe. And that's really good to not only do for ourselves. We already know these and do these naturally as adults. Like, when do you get frustrated? Like, when I go out to the backyard and work in my plants, or I water, or I'll, whatever. And so we have lots of plants in my backyard. So, that's my therapy. That's my release. That's my sense, it's beautiful to see. It's very calming. I'm from the mountain area. I'm from the Smoky Mountains. And so being outside in nature is very soothing to me. And so I brought a lot of that into our home and into our backyard. And I have someone who indulges that with me. So, but for your kids, it's the same way. They don't necessarily know. They may be cranky, they may be whiny, they may be snippy, they may be sassy. They, whatever they are, that's coming from a place of dysregulation. It's coming from a place of being unsettled or uncalm or dysregulated, and they're not feeling safe, or they're not feeling okay, or they're feeling hangry. So, kind of explore. Are they hungry? Is this the time when they need a snack? Is this happening at the same time every day? Do they need water and a piece of fruit? Do they need, not chips and soda, but do they need, something that can get their little bodies through? Do they need to work a period of time and take a break? How do you do your work day? What works best for you? Do you work best, not being distracted? Do you work, pay attention to those things. Your child may mimic those needs as well. They may need to work really, really well for a while. They're getting a lot of screen time and they're not used to that. And so do they need to do their screen time and take a break and go, do something else? Do something fun or do a snack or do cuddle time. Hey, let's watch a 15-minute show, or let's read a book. Our little grandson loves to read, and he, at bedtime, he gets 3, but he'll want, let's do 4. Come on, one more, just one more. Okay, we'll do 4. So Mama doesn't get to put him to bed anymore because I cave. So, but with that need of cuddling or singing or being playful, playful engagement, being playful with your child does a lot to disarm them, and does a lot to soothe them, and does a lot to, you're not mad at them, you're not disappointed in them. I want to go back to that original question. My little man's calling me a bad teacher. That's going to hurt your feelings, right? And so you're going to be kind of frustrated. You're going to match that. No, I'm not. What are you doing? So you just need to listen. Sir, you need to sit down right there and you need to open up your ears. And so then the child's like, oh, my mom's disappointed in me. And then they mirror the emotion that's coming at them.
Let me add something to that.
Yeah.
Put it simply, be the kind of teacher you would like to have.
Yeah. I mean, like if your kid's getting sassy with you, or your kid's getting antsy, just go, okay, hey, we could use the assisting process here. I see the, all right, Sherry, I saw you on there. So the assisting process is, I see that you're doing that thing. So here's a really, really great tip. I'm gonna let him, he is a teacher of the assisting process. So I think that is what we need to really leave. I don't know if it's.
So I see you're wiggling and you're huffing. Are you angry?
Mm-hmm.
You can use anger, you can use any other emotion. Then we will wait for the response. Yeah, I can see that you're angry. What are you angry about? So you're angry because of this, is that right? So what do you want? Well, I want, okay. So what have you tried? Well, I've tried wiggling. Okay, how well does that work? Well, it didn't work. So what would you be willing to try in order to be able to get what you want? Well, maybe I could do that. Okay, when would you do that? Well, maybe, okay, how would you go about it? And so just those simple questions, moving the child from the emotional place to the thinking place, gradually getting them, because you can't know what you want to do until you know what you want. But that assisting process is a very helpful one in moving from the emotion to the cognitive.
And you can Google it. It's the assisting.
So that's called, again, assisting process?
Yeah,
Assisting.
the assisting. I'll type it
It
in
is.
here.
It is a part. It is a component of SAMA, Satori Alternatives to Managing Aggression.
Mm-hmm.
The assisting process.
Yeah, assisting process and SAMA.
That's really great advice. I saw someone else ask, what should we say to a child who's afraid of going to school because they're afraid they're going to get COVID? And I feel this on so many levels because my little kiddo is asking me to check her throat every morning. So,
yeah. One of the things too, and I expected this as a question because not only are kids feeling that, my staff are feeling that. My managers are feeling that. I was in the beginning. I don't feel that anymore. But because I work in a hospital, you kind of like, okay, you get over it. But not really. I'm not taking it lightly because every day I wear a mask, and I have my level 1 mask, and actually right here, wear my level 1 mask and my face shield or my goggles. And that's, that's part of it. So part of that is there's a safety behind that. There's a security in feeling that of like, I'm doing my part. So Felina, I think one of those things that we're going to have to build in our children and in ourselves, I think we already have it, but apply it to this situation is resilience. This is a situation that in our lifetimes we've not been in. There may have been future generations, but in our lifetime, we've not ever been in a situation like this. And so, it's given us the opportunity to not, I would never want this to happen, but this is the situation that we're in. We're here. What do we do now that we're here? We build on that. We go, okay, so we're here. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's, it's unsettling. Yes, there is a chance that you might get sick, but we're going to do everything in our power to keep from it. So what are the things we can do, right? We can wear our mask, and kids have some of the cutest masks out there. If they can wear those, and they have the little.
I saw one that had a crocodile face on the front of it. So
and see, let the children pick their own masks if you can. They have the fun little hats with the mask. We have a daughter who's a teacher at a Montessori school, and you've got a picture of her with her. She has this big old brim hat, and her mask goes all the way around, almost to the back, so the kids and down to her chest, so that they can see her face as a teacher. And so yeah, so.
I was going to say, one of the things that I think that as adults, as parents, we have to model as well. One of the things, kids are into social media and all those kind of things, but I think we need to limit their exposure. We need to also limit our conversations around them about these kinds of things. There's enough there. I think as adults, we need to do the adult stuff and as best as possible. I remember being a kid, and I never really thought about what was necessary to put food on the table or keep us safe or get clothing. I never worried about that because my parents took care of that, and they never talked about that. I mean, I know of a time when I asked my dad for something and he said no. And I found out later that it was because he didn't have the money. And he literally didn't have the money at that point. Well, he protected me from that knowledge. I was just frustrated because I didn't get the toys I wanted. But he protected me from the fact that he was concerned that he didn't have money for other kinds of things. And so I think with COVID, to the best of our ability as parents, we protect the kids and we protect them from all of the craziness that's out there, because there's some crazy stuff out there. That's even more than just the fact that there's a pandemic that we're dealing with. There are people who are making that even larger because they're always talking about it. So it's not just something that's been told. We're taking steps to avoid it. It's talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And so there's this ominous presence that's just hanging in the air. And I think we have to do everything that we can to try to eliminate that ominous presence from the lives of our children.
Yeah. So you break it down, and here's what we can do. We can wash our hands and sing happy birthday, because that's how long you wash your hands. We can be playful. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna put my mask on, and what superhero am I? My superhero name is Nacho Mama. I'm not, when I play superheroes with my grandson, that is my superhero name. So you be playful.
That's the name he gave.
It's the name I got. So put, wear your protective gear, whatever the school says. Their rules are in place, just like your child would follow the rules anyway. And wash your hands, don't touch your face. That's the hard part for little kids.
Sure, we've been doing this for years, though.
Yeah, but also reassure them if you do get sick. If they are genuine, like your little girl is really worried about her throat and checking her throat every day, and just go, you know what, sweetheart, I want you to understand, if you get sick, we're good. We'll be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to do it just like if you got sick with the flu or with any other thing. We know what to do for you. We're going to go to your doctor. Your doctor is going to tell mommy all the stuff you're going to need. You're going to need lots of chicken noodle soup, and you're going to need, Sprite and sherbet. That's what we had at our house. When somebody got sick, they got orange sherbet and Sprite, no matter what it was. And that's what they wanted. So you have your routines and your comfort foods. We're going to do all the things we can, and we're going to be okay.
I'm going to take care of you.
And I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there.
I'm sorry, this is a really great time. People are together.
Yeah.
It's a really great time to focus on relationships and building relationships and genuinely connecting and just having fun with each other and spending time loving on each other. That's a really important thing at this point.
Yeah.
Kids really need that, and usually thrive on.
And if there are family members that are sick, right, what do? We dote on them. We take care of them. If I have friends that are sick, my staff have been quarantined. There have been members of my staff quarantined. I checked on them, made sure they were okay. They had everything they needed. And so we're, as a community, that's what we do. As a family, that's what we do. That's a part of the resilience that we have. COVID's here. COVID's probably not going to go away. So what happens? I want faux if I get sick from faux 95. And I will get
tips treats. So that's what I want. If I get sick, someone send me tips treats. What I think, and I said this to you earlier, to both of y'all, I got a chance to talk with Diane and Larry before y'all got a chance to come into the room, and I said, oh, I'm so glad to hear I'm doing something right. And I think that, and I'm sure that as parents, as educators, as people who are supporting young ones, that everyone listening has probably heard something. They're like, yes, at least I'm doing that part right. And I love that about the things that you've told us, because I've learned so much, and then I've also felt validated, and that's really important during this time for me anyway. And are right about the resiliency. Mia said to me, my daughter Mia said to me, if it wasn't for COVID, Daddy and I would never have found that park. I'm like, oh, that's a cool way of thinking about that. So we have about yeah, I'm pretty proud of her. So we have about 5 more minutes left, and I am just grateful to Sherry for introducing me to you, and you coming and speaking with NAMI North Texas, and all of these people that y'all have brought in and that have joined us. But we have about 5 more minutes left, and I want to know from both of y'all, what is something that you can leave behind for us as we continue with our week, with our school year, and all of that?
I think really importantly is grace. I've used this with my staff. I've used this with my kids. I've used this with my husband. Grace covers a lot, because we've like I said before, we've not ever been here, and so you know, giving yourself like, okay, I'm doing all these things, I'm doing what I can, right? If I don't know how to do it, I am drawing on the resources that I have at my disposal. If I don't know how to draw on those resources, then I now know someone who does, right? And so you can reach out to NAMI North Texas, and they can, if they need to, Sherry Kusmano know, and there are people on this chat know how to find us, and we can help, right? We are a part of this community, and this is our community, and we are here. You know, you're not in this alone. You're not. You're never going to be. We're not going to go anywhere. And we're like, all of North Texas has my cell phone number. So, you know, text. I'm going to put it right here, actually, to everybody who is on this call. If you have a question and you want direct, I'm going to give you my cell phone number to.
Hey, don't call after 9 o'clock. You're going to be sleepy.
You don't call, you text. Who calls?
I will say, Diane, that we're planning on putting this on, we're planning on putting this, you know, out there. That's why we're recording it. So share it with everyone. You know, it's totally up to you. Maybe your email address. Just want to keep it safe.
Yeah, let me put in a final thought here.
Okay, fine. I'll put my email.
And that is, don't take yourself too seriously. Okay, we are all so serious.
Yeah.
And now we've got to teach school. That's really serious. We're going to mess up our kids. That's really serious. I was a kid once, and there were lots of people who tried to mess me up. And somehow I managed.
I think.
Now, I could tell you, my mom went all the way to the first grade. Okay, all the way through the first grade. My dad went all the way through the 8th grade. Now, I wound up somehow with 3 master's degrees. So think about that, right? Take yourself too seriously. Yes, there's everything that we need to be doing to keep our kids safe, but our kids are going to be far more resilient than we imagined that they are.
And I think a really important thing is if you do that and you let your kids know, you know what, we're in this together. I'm not going anywhere. I'm so sorry I yelled at you. Let's figure out a better way that we can do this next time. Let's structure this time together. Let's collaborate as a family, and draw together, and build those relationships. You know, you're going to sail through this beautifully, and you're going to have a connectedness that you would not otherwise have with your family, with your children, with your people. And I think what I would say is draw on your people and don't isolate yourself is what I would leave with you. You aren't alone, and we all draw on each other.
If we let go of the idea that the goal of parenting is to be right, sometimes,
Say that one more time.
if we let go of the idea that the goal of parenting is to be right, we are not always right. And it's okay to not be right. And it's okay to say, I don't know. And it's okay to try to figure things out and say, let's look at this together, see what we can figure out. Or let's see if we can find somebody who does know the answer or who can help. We don't have to be the end of all in everything. There's a phrase there that I can't bring it up right at the moment, but we don't have to be the be all and end all. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That's why we have a community that we can look to for that.
Yeah.
So
Love each other.
So my takeaway from that is give yourself grace. Don't take yourself too seriously. You know, count on your people. You're not alone. And then I don't know is an okay phrase to say. And we are going to get through this together. I think that's the most important thing at the end. We're going to get through this together. On behalf of NAMI North Texas, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here, for everyone for joining in and listening in on our conversation. Diane has given us her email address, and I'm sure she'll share her phone number with you if you email her, and it's down there.
True.
in the comments.
Yeah.
And then if y'all have any other questions about NAMI and our resources, you can reach out to us. You can go to our website at naminorthtexas.org. We are answering the phones. We are answering emails. So please reach out to us if you need anything at all. And thank you, Diane and Larry, so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah.
Our pleasure.
All right, everyone. I'm going to wish everyone a really good night. And let's all go put our kids to bed. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Take good care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.